She walked into the room, and everyone stopped. Not because she was Jennifer Lopez, but because of what happened next. Ben Affleck's son was standing right there. And the way JLO handled that moment, it made people question everything they thought they knew about this relationship. Let's go back. Because this story didn't start with a blow-up or a headline. It started quietly, in the background, in the small moments that nobody was paying attention to, until suddenly everyone was. Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, two of the biggest names in Hollywood. A love story that the internet literally called Benifer. A romance that died in the early 2000s, came back from the dead 20 years later, and turned into a wedding. A real one. With vows, a dress, a ring, and all of it. The world went crazy for it. People who had never cared about celebrity gossip were suddenly invested.
Why?
Because it felt like a fairy tale. A second chance. Proof that love could survive time, distance, and a whole lot of life changes. But here's the thing about fairy tales. They look perfect from the outside. You see the castle. You don't see what's happening inside the walls. And what was happening inside? That's where it gets complicated. Ben Affleck is a father. He has 3 kids with his ex-wife Jennifer Garner. Violet, Serafina, and Samuel. And when Ben and JLO got married, those kids became stepkids. That's just how blended families work. Simple enough, right? Except nothing about this was simple. See, Jennifer Lopez is not a woman who does anything halfway. She is all in, always, on everything. Her career, her image, her relationships. When she loves something, she loves it loudly and completely. That's part of what makes her Jennifer Lopez. But that same intensity, in a blended family situation, with teenagers who didn't ask for any of this, that's where things started to crack. People close to the situation started noticing it. Ben's son Samuel, his youngest, was spending time around JLO, and the dynamic between them raised eyebrows. Not because anything was wrong on the surface, but because of the energy. The way JLO seemed to insert herself into spaces in a way that felt off. Like she was trying too hard, or maybe not trying in the right way. Depending on who you ask, the story sounds different. But one thing kept coming up again and again. Ben was uncomfortable. Not with his son. Not with JLO separately. But with how the two of them existed together in the same space. Something about it didn't sit right with him, and people around them could see it written all over his face. Now, you might be thinking, okay, blended family stuff is complicated, that happens. And you're right. But this wasn't just typical step-parent adjustment territory. There were specific moments, specific incidents, where Jennifer Lopez's behavior wasn't just intense, it was described as flat-out rude. Not to fans, not to paparazzi, to people close to Ben, staff, family friends, people who were around them regularly. Multiple sources started talking about moments where JLO said things, did things, acted in ways that left people uncomfortable. Where she walked into situations and took over without reading the room. Where she made people feel small, or invisible, or like they were in her way. And Ben? Ben watched all of this. And said nothing publicly. Because that's Ben Affleck. He internalizes. He's private. He keeps things bottled. Anyone who's followed his career or his personal life knows this about him. He doesn't blow up. He goes quiet. But quiet doesn't mean okay. There's a look that started showing up in photos of them together. You've probably seen it without realizing what you were looking at. That look on his face at red carpet events, at public outings. The slightly furrowed brow. The jaw set just a little too tight. The eyes that weren't lit up the way you'd expect a man's eyes to be lit up when he's standing next to his wife. People noticed. The internet noticed. Screenshots started circulating. Memes were made. And while most people laughed it off as just Ben Affleck being Ben Affleck, that famously unbothered, kind of grumpy face he always makes, people who actually knew what was going on behind the scenes knew it was something more. The marriage was under pressure. Real pressure. And the pressure wasn't just coming from the outside world, the media attention, the public scrutiny. It was coming from inside the house. From the dynamics that happen in private. From the question every blended family eventually has to answer. How do you make this actually work when everyone involved is a real person with real feelings?